Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be 9 March book releases that I'm excited for, so I will just mention the date that these are released, what they're about, and why I'm interested in them, and all of that. So on March 8th, we have And They Lived by Stephen Salvatore, and this I don't remember anything about really except that it's queer. A lot of these books I don't know much about, so I will just read the Goodreads description. So I literally have it pulled up here and I will just read it and read the description, and yeah. So hence me looking down at my phone. Chase Arthur is a budding animator and hopeless romantic obsessed with Disney films and finding his true love. But he's plagued with the belief that he's not enough for anyone. He's recovering from an eating disorder and suffers from body dysmorphia fueled by his father, and can't quite figure out his gender identity. When Chase starts his freshman year at college, he has to navigate being away from his home and missing his sister, finding his squad, and contending with his ex-best friend, Layla, who is gunning for the same exclusive mentorship. If only he can pull together a short for the freshman animation showcase at the end of the semester. Then Chase meets Jack Reed, a pragmatic poet who worships words and longs for an experience of life outside of his sheltered world. But Chase throws everything into question for Jack, who is still discovering his sexual identity, having grown up in a close-knit conservative family. Jack internalized a lot of homophobia from his parents and his childhood best friend, who unexpectedly visits campus, which threatens to destroy their relationship. Chase will have to learn to love and be enough for himself while discovering what it truly means to live. So it's just a coming of age story set in college. It's upper YA, characters are 18, I think, which is exactly what I want to read. The next book is Nosedive by Torri, and this is a book I do know I will for sure be reading in March, as I have an arc, and this comes out March 9th, and this, all I know is it is a standalone fast burn paranormal romance, so I will just read the description as well, because I pretty much just heard what it was like, ooh, I like this author, I'm going to sign up for an arc and get it. Cam's a dragon shifter with a secret. He prefers his own company to that of his pack, until one day he stumbles across a saucy soup named Charlie. She's hiking alone and looks as lost as he feels. Perhaps they could keep each other company, except Charlie's got secrets of her own and she's not ready to share them with someone too handsome to be real. Cam might be good for a laugh, maybe a hot one-night stand, if she can let her guard down long enough to enjoy herself. But the next day, right when Charlie's about to cut and loose, their worlds collide in a twist of fate, forcing them to work together to save themselves and each other. To do so, they have to expose the parts they've kept hidden far too long, or risk losing everything to the darkness surrounding them. Nosedive is a standalone fast burn paranormal romance. I have been really into romances lately, and this is a paranormal romance, and yeah, that's all I need to know. The next book is Merciless Stars by Candace Robinson, and this I know nothing about really, and I don't really want to know, except I know that it is a standalone new adult fantasy where we have two sisters who are keeping secrets, and one of them used magic to draw a human soul into a wax raven. Their sisters are one of the sisters a queen. That's all I know. Even that's all I'm getting from the thing is I don't really know what else this is about, and I don't really want to. This is a indie published, and I genuinely love this cover. I don't even know where I discovered this book. I just it sounds good. It's just a new adult fantasy romance. I believe it's a standalone. And it's like an enemy king's guard shows up, and enemy king, I have no idea, really. I want to go into this knowing blind. I have no idea when I'll read it, but I'm very interested in it. The next book is The War of Two Queens by Jennifer Armentrout, and this I will of course be reading in March, as it's like one of my most anticipated releases for the year. And this is the fourth book in the Blood and Ash series, the first book being From Blood and Ash, and I can't reach the book, but it's up there. But essentially in From Blood and Ash, we follow a maiden named Poppy who she cannot be looked upon, she cannot be touched, she cannot do anything like that, and when she is assigned a new guard named Hawk, all of those things kind of change, and the fourth book is way different from that first explanation, as we are now, well, there is, as the title says, a war between two queens. That's literally that's the easiest way to describe what happens in this book. I've read the first 5 chapters as Jennifer Armentrout gave out the first 5 chapters as type thing for free. And oh my gosh, I am already in love with this book, and I will be reading it literally as soon as it hits hits midnight on the 15th, because that's when this comes out. I will be reading it. I don't care what else I'm reading, I will drop what I'm doing to read it. On March 20th, we have Vile Bastards by C.M. Stunich. This date is to be changed, as it was originally the 10th and now it's the 20th. It could be changed around, but this is the third book in the Scarlet Force series, where essentially in the first book, Fuckboy Psychos, we follow Scarlet, who she's kind of almost think of the queen of the school, the queen of the racetrack type thing. Everybody looks up to her and all that, and it's literally her getting involved with these 4 different guys that lead out into these this dark and twisted plot. Vile Bastards is the third book in the series. This is a reverse harem series, which essentially means that Scarlet ends up with multiple guys. And that's pretty much all I can describe, really, without spoilers, because honestly I couldn't even tell you what's going on half the time in this series. There's violence, gore, murder. Obviously it's an 18+ book, because there's a decent amount of smut. Yes, I read the first 2 books when I was 17, don't fucking judge. But I just really like the series, and I will be reading this as soon as it comes out. Again, that date is subject to change. On March 22nd, we have The City of Dusk by Tara Sim, and I don't remember anything about this, really. So, set in a gorgeous world of bone and shadow magic, of vengeful gods and defiant chosen ones, The City of Dusk is the first in a dark, epic fantasy trilogy that follows the 4 heirs of 4 noble houses, each gifted with a divine power, as they form a tenuous alliance to keep their kingdom from descending into a realm-shattering war. The 4 realms, life, death, light, and darkness, all converge on the City of Dusk. For each realm there is a god, and for each god there is an heir. But the gods have withdrawn their favor from the once vibrant and thriving city, and without it all the realms are dying. Unwilling to stand by it and watch the destruction, the 4 heirs, Risha, a necromancer struggling to keep the peace, Angelica, an elementalist with her eyes set on the throne, Tasia, I could be saying that wrong, a shadow-wielding rogue with a rebellion in her heart, and Nick, a soldier who struggles to see the light, will sacrifice everything to save the city, but their defiance will cost them dearly. That just sounds like something I'd love. It's an epic, it's adult, and I've recently been trying to get into more adult fantasy. I say that as I'm reading House of Earth and Blood, which is an adult fantasy, but I've heard great things, and I know I really enjoyed the Timekeeper trilogy by Tara Sim, and so I'm excited to read more by them, because, well, I like that series. I like a previous series. So, who knows, I could love it, I could hate it. I have an arc through Nat Galley, so I do also kind of need to read it. Haven't yet, though. Oops. The next book is Gaslight by Rachel Rose, and this I also have I have an arc through Knack Alley, and this essentially we follow Maddie, who moves across the country to like get away from her previous life, and at this new place she learns how to fight. And this book is published by Wattpad Books, meaning that it was once a Wattpad story and now it is being published. And if you know me, my kind of like start in reading was like heavily influenced by Wattpad. I did read probably for a few months on Wattpad before I actually started reading published books. So like I always am willing to read a Wattpad book, like that book that was published by Wattpad Books, because of that being part of my roots. And also this does just sound interesting. It is a little bit more interesting than I explained it, but that's like the basic gist that I remember. And it's like she learns to fight, and there's maybe a romance along the way. I don't really know, but it's kind of like almost like finding yourself, like coming of age and like all of that. And this comes out on the 29th of March. The final book that is coming out in March that I am interested, there could be many more books coming out in March that I haven't heard of or I'm not interested in, and that final book is So This Is Ever After by F.T. Lukens. And just look at the cover. This is definitely like a cover like intrigue of like I saw the cover and was like, wait, what is this about? And I don't remember much except it's Carry On meets Arthurian legend, so I'm going to read the description. Auric hadn't thought much about what would happen after he completed the prophecy that said he was destined to save the Kingdom of Air from its evil ruler. Now that he's finally managed to somewhat clumsy behead the evil king, turns out magical swords yanked from bogs don't come pre-sharpened. He and his ragtag group of quest companions are a bit lost of what to do. As a temporary safeguard, Auric's best friend and mage, Matt, convinces him to assume the throne until the true heir can be rescued from her tower, except that she's dead. Now, Auric is stuck as king, a role that comes with the magical catch: choose a spouse by your 18th birthday or wither away into nothing. With his 18th birthday only 3 months away and only Matt in on the secret, Auric embarks on a desperate bid to find a spouse to save his life, starting with his quest companions. But his attempts at wooing his friends go painfully and hilariously wrong, until he discovers that love might have been in front of him all along. Yeah, and this is like, it's literally just like, it's kind of fantastical. At first, I thought it was gonna be connected to In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens, but it's not. I think it was just based on the covers of them being kind of similar. I thought, oh, it's going to be like connected somehow, but it's not, thankfully. So that means that I can read this without reading In Deeper Waters, even though I think my hold for In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens finally might be coming next month. So I might read that then this. But this is just something, it's queer. Do I need anything else? Literally, just queer books. Throw them all at me. Literally just give me recommendations, especially for new releases, because I feel like I always struggle with finding new releases that interest me, and it's just because I don't look. I guess I could look harder and all of that, but that's kind of like my fault, I guess. But let me know what March releases you're excited for, or if there isn't any March releases that you're interested, let me know what the next anticipated release you have for later in the year is. Also, let me know if you are interested in any of these books, if you've heard of any of these books, or if any of these books are new to you. But I really hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!